All right. Welcome, everybody, this afternoon. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube Live, super excited today again to bring you another wonderful guest who's going to share his knowledge and a little bit about his experience and how he helps others reach their next level of success. So today we have Craige Hardel on the show. And now, Craige is a success coach. He's actually from the Caribbean islands down in St. Lucia. And he helps ambitious yet unfulfilled men and women overcome their fears and hit their big goals. He has endured lots of personal hardship as well, that eventually led him to living his true passion as a success coach and helping others reach their next level and achieve their big goals to reach their full potential. Now, his mission is to help others who have big dreams, or many challenges or obstacles, and or are about to give up, and help them push through. And he also helps them refocus and live meaningful and fulfilled lives that they were meant to live. So, Craige, welcome to Pencil Leadership today.
It's fantastic being on, and it's an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So thankful that you're able to take some time out because I know it's probably beautiful down there today in St. Lucia. So, yeah. So, talking about reaching your next level of success today. Excuse me. But first, I'd love to hear maybe a condensed version of your story, how you got to be doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity once
Yeah.
more. I'm a mindset and success coach, like you introduced me as, and I help people really get to their next level. You know, we all have our next level, and you may see people doing very well, but what about you?
Yeah.
Most people are afraid to ask that question. Now, a bit of my background. I used to be a physical education teacher, and I switched into entrepreneurship and had quite a bit of hardships along the way, including, and I'm summarizing, including broken relationship, had a child unexpectedly, lost my child
Mm.
unexpectedly as well, and just those moments and those events afterwards even really taught me a lot. In some
Yeah.
ways, it actually even broke me, you know.
Mm.
And prior to all of this, I've done a lot of voluntary work, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
basically my passion is to teach and serve. So having all those lessons and events and prior experiences really gave me the impetus to do it full time. And I did a lot of digital marketing, web design. I still do on a very small basis, but mainly now with my products, courses, and also coaching is how I primarily serve the world. So these events have really inspired me to really serve on a much larger scale and to
Yeah.
really help people who basically fall through the cracks because most people they may have grand ambitions, they may really want better for themselves, but they give up for one reason or the other. So that's really what my background is and how I
Wow.
got to where I am currently.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, and being kind of transparent and vulnerable with us. I'm curious. Did you get through those hard times? What was your kind of where did you get your strength to get through?
One is the knowledge of what I like to call your next best self.
Mm.
There are other variants of this, your highest potential, which I use commonly. Some others use your future self, like I know an author recently published, and really being clear as to who that is for you. And you not define yourself by your current circumstances, your current situations, but still learn from them, but not letting
Mm.
them completely define you, who you're going to be, and what you're going to do. And the problem is, most people have the conception that your past determines your future. And really, that could be limiting. And we're limited in so many ways with education system and with grades and with all the labeling, even personality tests as well. And we have to learn to step outside of that because as long as we don't step outside of those stratifications, who
Yeah.
we are is already predetermined. And that's actually what's holding us back. Whether it's people who said negative things to us that we internalized, or whether it's really stories that we've always been telling ourselves. One blog post that is very popular on our website is the list of common excuses that people use. And excuses are just another way of saying stories. All right. So personally, along that time, for me, it's really me having a much higher vision for myself, knowing what
Mm.
I'm capable of, and really just having the confidence because of prior wins to go through and come out on top and be even better.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Being able to kind of see kind of look ahead and know things can get better. There's a silver line there, or there's things that are coming that's going to be better than where we are now to help motivate us forward. I think that's huge. And I think that's needed a lot of times, especially in the time we're in right now. It's 2020. We've been through pandemic. We've been through rioting here in the States, at least, just a lot going on in people's lives that are really changing things in the kind of the fabric, the layout of the world right now. And so, yeah, seeing your next best self, I like that a lot. And so, is that kind of how you format your courses or your programs with your clients, with the people that you help?
That's an interesting question because it's deeper than that.
Mm,
And it's helpful to have the mindset of what you really aspire into, whether it's your goals, whether it's who you really want to become, or even later on in life, what your life wants you want it to look like.
yeah.
There's a common saying in The Five Regrets of Dying, a very popular book,
Mm,
and it speaks to one of the regrets mean that people don't have the courage. They didn't have the courage to live the lives they truly wanted to live.
yep.
And you having the end in mind in one way or the other really helps you develop that courage and push through, and so you have that angle. And yes, it is one of the core tenets of what I do. And some of the others are that most people believe that they have an information problem, but
Mm,
really the problem is with execution. I mean, now we're on the internet, we have access to a plethora of resources, and
mm-hmm.
you're inundated with things to do: email lists, YouTube subscriptions, Facebook Live videos, the news feeds. We're confused more than ever. Prior, even 10 years ago, the library was a thing. You go to the library, you borrow books, you
Yep.
rent books. I mean, even you look at pre-Instagram with DVDs. I mean, people
Mhm.
valued small packets of information, but now it's meaningless. Meaningless in that we have access to so much and
Mhm.
we're overstimulated.
Mm.
And really, what I do primarily, I help people get in touch with really what's next for them. What do they want? Because that
Mhm.
overstimulation prevents people from really thinking clearly for them, right?
Yeah.
And that clarity being inundated with social media, with distraction, with just a constant entertainment. Now we live in a time as well that you don't have to go to bed, right? There is something, I mean, especially if you live in the city, one of the large cities like
Yep.
you're in, life never sleeps.
Right.
So people do not have those periods of renewal, whether it's for rest, but more broadly speaking, for their lives where they could take the time to really chart forward and what did it take
Mhm.
for them to get what they want.
Yeah.
So I help people really gain clarity across those areas and
Yeah.
live a life that is meaningful to them and even define success perfectly for them. Now, if you
Mm.
would allow me to expand on this,
Yeah.
wealth is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with wealth. But what I'm saying is that most people are wealthy. A lot of people are wealthy, but they're not fulfilled. They're not happy. They're missing out on so much of life. And
Mhm.
yet, while sacrifices are good, the thing is that money isn't everything.
Right.
And your fulfillment is just as important. And most people are burnt out. Most people really, they're grinding, they're hustling. There is all this hustle talk, walking on fire, motivation talk out there. And it's good to feel motivated, but you really need to tap into the person. You really need to have that clarity as to what you want and specifically how to get it. And
Mm.
all these things generally I help with.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think the two big things, like the clarity, finding clarity, because yeah, there is so much information out there at our fingertips that we can have instantly. And then success basically is what I heard you say. Success equals being fulfilled. Did I hear that correctly? Is that kind of what you're meaning?
Yes, you could encapsulate that in a nutshell, whatever that means. And that
Yeah.
goes across a wide spectrum because it doesn't label one means of success as the means. For example, owning a
Right.
Lamborghini Most people don't know how expensive a Lamborghini is to own. And some people love cars, and there
Yeah.
is nothing wrong with either end of that spectrum. So my point is, most people, they're not really happy because they haven't taken the time and to proactively define and measure what success is for them and walk that path. So that's
Yeah.
essentially what I would mean when I say that.
That's awesome. It's like, and I believe it's in Think and Grow Rich was a story of success being, if a man chose to sell hot dogs on the corner of a street because that's what he wanted to do, because that's what he found fulfillment in, then he was successful. It wasn't about how much money he made or what his position was in life, but that he chose to be that hot dog salesman, because that's what brought him, that was his passion, that was what fulfilled him, and so he was successful in his world, and he should be, because he chose to do that. That's what he wanted to do. And so I think I always go back to that, like, success is not, like you said, it's not about money. There's nothing
But you
wrong with
still,
money, there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with cars. It's based on what fulfills you, what brings you happiness, what makes you feel aligned correctly in your path and going after it.
Yeah, and like I was about to say, I mean, you need money. I
Yeah.
mean, nowhere am
Yeah.
I implying that you
Right.
don't, money is not important or anything that people have, which are basically limiting beliefs as to why they shouldn't earn more.
Mm.
And the reason I really want to point to that nuance is that I do help and regularly converse with people who really have high financial goals. And along with the fulfillment, what I want to say is that most people, the other end of that spectrum, most people settle too quickly. They settle for the life that is comfortable, that they think that they could have easily, but they never go further, extra,
Mm.
right? We live in society where you shame for wanting more, especially in a financial sense, for wanting to really go past your environment.
Yeah.
And most will have to learn to let go of the stigma because it unconsciously affects them, especially if you're very ambitious, maybe family, religion, and
Yep.
otherwise. And also, people need to understand that you really need to ensure that your actions and your day to day is in alignment with what you really want. Because it's not enough to just want. I mean, we could sit here and speak about how, you could want certain things, but it's not about wanting. You need to ensure that the actions that you take, what you focus on, is in alignment with what you want. And
Mm.
that, in a time like this, is even harder because of all the distraction and
Yeah.
just all the options. And
Yep.
that is something that I really help people with. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes, like I just
Yeah.
did, to really paint the entire spectrum so people understand it's not really a subject, an objective description of what wealth or what success is, but it's really determining specifically what that means for you and what
Yes.
really fulfills you and walking that path. That is how you get what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's seeing that, and then, yeah, like you said, getting out of that stigma that, like, you can go for more. It can be more, whatever. It can be money, it could be a position, or it can just be more time. So you're trying to build your
Mhm.
business to have more time. So it can be whatever it is. So how do you start people down that road, kind of, to get over that, or use that obstacle as a stepping stone to the next spot, the next level of success?
One of the first things that I do when I work with somebody or when they enroll in my programs is
Hmm.
that I love to have them do a self analysis.
Mm.
And sometimes I may do it with them, but most people have never asked themselves hard questions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we always have that thing that we avoid. For example, who do you want to become?
Mm.
It sounds simple, but try answering it. Who do you really want to become? And most people may give you a vague answer on top of their head, but take 10 minutes and write it out. And again, that's along with speaking about the inundation and the fact that that introspection, because it's not about the end result only. And yes, outcomes are extremely important. You need to not just enjoy the process, but you need to
Yep.
enjoy you, because
Yeah.
you won't necessarily be happy when you get the $1 million, when you get the Lamborghini, right?
Right.
When you get even into college, if that's where you at, So you have to fully understand where you at and really what's missing, because it's only when you really go inward and you really attempt to see what's holding you back Like I typically say, there is this iceberg that we don't see, especially when you begin to really work with somebody.
Yeah.
There is this iceberg that you don't see, that time you will begin to delve into. And that is where the real work happens, the real
Yeah.
transformation happens. And
Yeah.
typically, like I said in the beginning, it is not a information problem that most people have. And yes, most people may have learned a lot of wrong things as well, and that may have to be unlearned. But once they really get in touch with their mojo, if you
Mm.
will, and they're really highly attuned to what's working for them, the execution just quickens, and it's always miraculous the transformations that people can have.
Yeah, I think, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful because, and it's so true. Like you mentioned, like what's holding you back, like getting through that, asking yourself hard questions. And it reminds me of Joseph Campbell's quote, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And so those things that we're afraid of or that we don't want to do, those hard things, those usually end up being the most beneficial for us.
Yes, yes.
That's
And
all.
what I love to tell people also is that we all have our next level of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And some people may come to you or come to me and they don't need coaching. And until I sit with them for half an hour,
Yeah.
and the reason I say this is to say that your next area of evolution may be different for you.
Yeah.
You may have a good career, right? Most people may really want to go forward there. Most people, but you may have a good career and you may be in a position where you need life balance, right? You may
Mm.
be in a position where you need to really get started in a family. If you're a female, maybe you've gone up the corporate ladder and now you're getting older, and now your body is changing and you really need to find that family. So
Yeah.
the reason I'm saying this is that some people, even people who are wealthy or have large businesses, may believe that they may not necessarily need coaching, but
Mm.
typically in my experience, they're actually the ones who need it the most,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yep.
the more success that you have, the less people you could actually really meaningfully talk to,
Yep.
right? And if you listen and you're in a 6 or 7 figure range, you know I'm right,
Mm.
because typically it's hard, and most people cannot understand the struggle it really takes to grow anything, right?
Right.
And we all go struggle, but the point is, once we really take some time to delve in, and once we really take some time to get honest with ourselves and
Yeah.
what has been holding us back that we didn't acknowledge, typically the shift happens for anybody, no
Mm-hmm.
matter their wealth spectrum, wherever they're at, or wherever has happened in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people don't know what they don't know. They don't know they need coaching until they finally know it and see the benefit that's going to come from it.
Yeah.
I know I've been there. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I don't need that. I don't need to listen. And it's like, oh wow, yeah, okay. I needed that slap in the face or that kick in the pants to get going. So, no, that's great. So, how do how does the next step? I know you say you do a self analysis with people,
Mhm.
so they find out where they need to start that work and what is in the way. What comes after that? What usually do you lead them into after that?
Well, if it's a coaching program, we have structured sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and typically we work on an area within your life. And even in my program, similarly, they get a lot of valuable information. And
Yeah.
I really need to stress this because the problem with most programs, in my professional opinion, they just dump information on you,
Mm,
right? And the information may be great, but unless you take some time to delve in, it typically doesn't land as it should. And
gotcha.
on one hand, some people may take a part of a program and they may have some success, but normally what's wrong or what strings need to be pulled, just like a surgeon or a doctor would tell you,
Yeah.
it's the same organ, but you need to pull different parts of it.
Mm,
So most programs are not tailored to the individual in that regard.
okay.
And that is why I do the self-analysis. And then afterwards, like you asked, generally I help them optimize every area of their lives. And
Okay.
things will come up, problems will come up,
Yeah.
challenges in implementation will come up, and then we address these as we go along until, as our program comes along, or if we're working on a longer basis, the person begins to change.
Mm-hmm.
They begin to rewire, the behavior begins to
Yep.
change. You've gone through the loops of difficulty, because sometimes You may want to really do something, but change is hard. I mean, change is hard for everybody. I
Yeah.
completely understand that. But generally, that's the process, And
Cool.
with regards to work, I mean, I tell people, if you really want to be the best, you have to train like that.
Yeah.
And not in that you have to compare yourself to those out there, but you have to take yourself seriously. You have to take life seriously. You have to be willing to look under the rug, because I will, and then see what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. And then you'll always be astounded as to how fast you can change.
Absolutely. Yeah, cuz I mean, if we do what we've always done, we'll get what we always got. And so we have to change for any difference to come about and to
Yeah.
reach new levels. To reach that new next level of success, we have to change our habits. We have to change our actions and what we're doing. Obviously, because what we're doing right now isn't working to get us to that next level.
And yeah, and that is why, and I could go even deeper of that, because that is why most pieces of information now don't work. They don't
Mm,
work, not in that it's not good, but that people need to be stimulated to apply. Right now,
hmm.
think of the attention span of websites, think of movies, the shock value, think of YouTube and how addicting technology has become.
Yeah.
So even with information in a course where you have no extra coaching, or anything outside of a coaching context, even for that matter, most people don't stick to it,
Mm.
right? So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it comes back to getting on that emotional level, like figuring out what is going to make them continually change to put these habits into action. We have to get on that emotional level, something that's, like you said, stimulates them forward. Like they're going to think about that and say, okay, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm going through this hard time for X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, but something that kind of pulls at their heartstrings.
and the beautiful thing about that dichotomy is that, as tough as that may seem, and people who've gotten coaching before, some people, you speak to them, they have 3 4 coaches at a time
Mm,
now. So they're used to the process. But one thing that they will tell you, the reason why they pay for so many coaches, and even if you haven't and you're considering it, the reason why you should, because the more you challenge, the more you really, the degree to which you challenge your own assumptions on yourself is a
yeah,
degree to which you will actually make progress. It's
yeah.
actually the same side, is 2 sides of the same coin.
Hmm.
So the beautiful thing is that the more you jump into it and the more you're willing to really just learn and grow and not be afraid to be wrong, right? The faster you actually move forward. So
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, when we're able to, it's like the first trait of pencil leadership is to be humble, to know that we can't do it alone, that we need
Yeah.
mentors and guides to lead us. Once we can do that, and it's hard, but once we can do that, man, yeah, growth can happen at such a faster rate. Um, we can bypass a lot of a lot of pains and mess ups because of that.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
So that's awesome. Um, so what I like when I talk to other coaches, what are your goals for this year? What are you looking to do? Anything exciting that you have on the horizon?
I love this question because I have plenty. One of them, I mean, we're looking to grow the coaching business and
Yeah.
help and serve even more people. But outside of that, for me, I'm looking to really expand my product line and
Mm,
really reach even more people, because some people may not be ready for coaching. Everyone needs coaching.
yeah.
That's undoubted, right?
Yeah.
I struggle with that word.
That's all
But
right.
some people may really need smaller products, and some people may only be able to afford smaller products.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that, if especially you were there. One of my core things is that anybody can move forward. We have our past and then we have so much shame, but we let our past deeds and our past wrongs determine our futures. And
Yep.
whether it's investing in a coaching program, right? Whether it's a course, whether it's a small product, I want to be there for them at whatever stage of that journey that they're on. And as
Right.
they take action, they make progress. If it fits, if they really are aligned, then we could work together. But for me, it's about helping people along the entire spectrum.
Yeah.
So more broadly speaking, that is where my core goals are focused at really improving those and making sure that people really transform in at
Mm,
whatever the level that they're at. Because
I love it.
I believe that someone who's very maybe someone who's poor or came from a poor background, didn't have many opportunities, is not necessarily less than one who had, and
Yeah.
for me, that's I want to structure my trading so I help everybody. And anybody, I'm passionate about anybody being able to move up whatever happened before, and from because the next Bill Gates, for example, can come from anywhere. The next major inventor would come from Africa, for example.
Yep.
It would come from any area around the world. So,
Yeah.
and again, that's what I love about being global, in that I can reach people more than in my country. I'm in the Caribbean, but really worldwide. I mean, we speak to people on all continents, and it's
Yep.
it's incredible. Just seeing and learning and really growing, because as a coach, you do grow as well. But what I really want to stress on is that for me, it's about helping people help themselves.
Mm,
And people need to, no change happens until you're willing to help yourself. And
yep.
sometimes not everybody could afford super high end coaching, although they
Yeah.
actually need it, but they may be able to help themselves at a slightly lower level, and that's enough of a step for them to move up on.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. Kind of reaching people where they are, meeting
Yeah.
people where they are, because we're all at different levels. I love that. And it kind of goes into, because you're talking about what you want to do, your goals going forward. The last trait of pencil leadership is pencils made to leave a mark. That's its purpose. And so we have purposes out there. And so I love to ask this question is, when everything is said and done for you here on earth,
Uh-huh.
what do you hope your mark is that you left?
I actually asked myself this question recently, and my internal answer shocked me. You know, for me, it's to spread my knowledge DNA far and wide around the world, right? And to reach
Yeah.
and impact people. I mean, at least 1 million people, but that number could even be hard to quantify. But for
Mm-hmm.
me to put so much goodness where, I mean, at the minimum, it's want to reach at least 1 million people and help them
Yeah.
transform their lives with whether it's for any programs that we have, or just by knowing me, if even in a medium like this,
Yeah.
and just helping themselves, because the richest place on the planet is actually down under, not in Australia, but in the graveyard,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And that's sad because there's a lot of unfulfilled potential.
Oh,
So the
so
more you could
true.
spark that, is really the more change, your capacity for change exponentially widens. So really that's what I want to do when I do it with
Mm,
products, with anything that we put out. And really it's just that desire to help people,
I love
because
it.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like to not have opportunity. And when I
Yeah.
say opportunity, I don't just mean internet access. It could be a
Mm,
role model.
yeah.
It could be someone who makes 7 figures and you want to make 7 figures in your
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right? It could be someone who really has the family life that you want, that you really want better with,
Right.
So
Yep.
in that way, that's how I really want to, and that's really spans what I would say my vision is.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, just spreading knowledge far and wide to as many people as you can. I think that's really admirable and a great goal that I think you're on your way to doing with your coaching as well. So it's always cool to connect with other coaches and just see the impact they're having. Motivates me to continue doing what I do as well. And so, Craige, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Before we say goodbye, though, how can people connect with you online or however?
Well, for this audience specifically, I have prepared a resource in that, and there are several goodies in there. One of them, if you really listen and you're hurting, or you really just want to hear and learn more, we could speak for at least half an hour.
Mm,
And the other one is a question list that I mentioned that will really help people get clarity on their own. And it's those essential questions that really help you have some profound realizations as to what to do next. So I
cool.
have a question list. And thirdly, within there, I have a free mini series that I recorded, and it's called Bounce
Awesome.
Back Fast, especially for the crisis, the coronavirus
Mm,
crisis. And we didn't touch on that we're in right now, or maybe we were in if you listen to it in the future.
Yeah.
Really, it's a mini series to help people get unstuck and to become more productive and to develop that emotional resilience, especially from losses, especially from all this grief, especially from all the events and the catastrophe, right? That's been around. So all of this
Right.
is packaged in one bundle for you.
Cool.
And if you want to reach me directly, it's CraigeHardel@gmail.com for anyone who wants to reach me directly via an inquiry. And the link to get that resource will be CraigeHardel.com/pencil leadership.
Awesome.
Again, CraigeHardel.com/pencil leadership. I'm assuming that link will be posted wherever this is published.
Yeah. So guys, if you're watching live right now, you can just look at the description of the video. It's at the bottom. If you're listening to this right now, it's in the description of the podcast show as well. So guys, yeah, check it out. Get connected with Craige. See what he's up to. See if he's a fit for you as far as coaching, and just learn from him. And yeah, take that next step of getting a coach, and taking yourself to the next level of success. So Craige, thank you again for being on Pencil Leadership today.
You're most welcome, and it's a pleasure being on.
And guys, if you like the show, if you like this episode and you haven't done it yet, hop over to where you listen to your podcast most, leave a review. A 5-star review helps us reach more people with Pencil Leadership and the messages that we have. Share with somebody, make a difference in their lives as well with the topics and the information that we put out there. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, let's go out and be pencil leaders.